Back before the days of freezers and refrigerators, people had to rely on ice to preserve their food. This ice had to be harvested from ponds, lakes, and rivers in the winter and stored in huge buildings known as ice houses. In the late 1700s, only the rich could afford ice. Then, in 1808, a man named Frederick Tudor from Boston had the novel idea of cutting ice right in Massachusetts and shipping it throughout the world. His company began shipping ice as far as Europe and India. He became known as the Ice King. This business idea soon spread to the Westford area as well. Two men by the names of Daniel Gage and his partner Tom Hittinger of Belmont founded the Gage Ice Company in 1850. The Gage Ice Company would go on to control most of the ice harvesting in the greater Lowell area. It is said that Gage became known as the Ice King of Lowell. Gage's company harvested ice on the Merrimack River, Hart Pond in Chelmsford, and many other locations throughout the area. There were two ice houses in Westford. One large house at Forge Pond and a smaller one at Burgess Pond, which supplied ice to the town of Westford.
He was in the business of ice cutting on the ponds, both on Forge Pond, Burgess Pond, which is in East Boston Camps, and he also owned property in towns all around us, Dracut, Tingsboro.
The Forge Pond Ice House was 5 stories tall and covered about an acre. The ice house stood on the site of the current public beach, and parts of the foundation are still visible to this day.
You can still see the foundation when you go down to the town beach. Those cement blocks that are there, that was the old foundation of the ice house before it burned.
The ice on the pond was monitored until it was approximately 14 inches thick, which was the ideal thickness for harvesting. The pond was known to freeze as deep as 3 feet, but that was too thick for harvesting. First, horses pulling iron bars would clear off the snow and slush from the top of the ice. Then, they would drag plows that would make 2-inch deep cuts into the ice. The ice was then cut into floats. Finally, it was cut into small cakes and placed on a steam-powered lift and lifted into the ice house. Sawdust and straw were used to insulate the ice. Every winter, it was filled to the ceiling with ice. The ice was then shipped on the railway, which runs right by the site of the ice house.
And then they would ship it by rail car to the south and as far as Europe. It just boggles my mind that Forge Village, Forge Pond ice was cooling things in Europe. And Daniel Gage had a very successful business.
For a while, ice was America's second biggest crop by weight. When Daniel Gage died in 1901, this obituary was printed, with a picture and an explanation of his legacy. Ironically, on the same page, the magazine featured patents for a new refrigeration technology, foreshadowing the eventual demise of the ice cutting industry.
He died quite young, and he actually left the business to his daughter, who ran it as a female entrepreneur long before there were many others. This was in the 1930s. And on her death, her will said that all of the properties that belonged to the Gage Ice Company would go to the communities in which it belonged. So that's how we got Tadmuck Swamp and Mystery Spring. That was all Gage property. It's all wetland, obviously, because they bought wet land. And then there's another beautiful piece on Old Lowell Road. On the left-hand side, that's the Martina Gage Town Forest, though the sign is long gone. But that actually goes all the way down to Hart Pond. And in the 50s, there was a small beach there. So not only did Mr. Gage build a very successful company, but his daughter left the town quite a legacy.
Then, in 1918, around the end of World War I, the mechanical refrigerator was introduced, making harvested ice obsolete. And by 1930, the ice cutting industry had been completely abandoned. Many ice houses were demolished. As a result of the insulation materials used in the ice houses, they were extremely flammable and often burned down, either accidentally or on purpose.
Exactly, of course, they would be highly flammable, absolutely. And I guess, many months of the year they were actually empty, because once the ice was harvested, it stayed there through the early summer months. But then there must have been a period of time there, probably August to January, February.
Today, remnants like this are all we have to remind us of the industry that melted away.